Hi guys, I'm Tracy. Welcome to today's video. So I have a really exciting brush haul. I got my very first Fude Beauty brush order, and I have a pretty balanced order. I think 4 face brushes and 3 eye brushes. And after the haul, I'm gonna be presenting some Japanese history, culture that relates to the Japanese American experience during World War II. So I'll be doing that after. Okay, so yeah, let's get started. I have some Mizuho Bisotto and a new to me brand that I'm trying for the first time. So let's get started. I'll start with the little eye brush that I got from Mizuho. That's the MB 125, and I have been eyeing this for a long time. Just to let you know, the MB series are, of the different brush lines that have squirrel hair, I think this is one of the more reasonably priced brush lines. They're, more basic, but they're very well made. I have other brushes from this line and they're all fantastic. They're all really nice. And I think this one is not an exception. I think this one's really nice. The hairs are really soft. It looks a lot bigger online. I was expecting a much bigger brush, but it's one of those small little blending brushes. So for me, that's a good thing. So it'll be good for me to like deepen out the outer corner, put a matte in the crease area, even lightly line the lower lash line. That's probably what I'm going to use this for. And yeah, very useful shape, especially if you have eyes like mine. And I got a little Bisotto eye brush. This was kind of like a spur of the moment purchase. I got the BES8, I think. I'll put the number down below. But it's a little weasel hair liner brush, very tiny. I'm going to use this for liner. And it's from the Long series, which is one of my favorite brush lines from actually of all time. And yeah, these brushes are made, the handles are made of African rosewood, and the ferrule is gold plated. So you get this really beautiful aesthetic, and the name of the brand is put on with a hot stamp, and that is gold too. So these brushes are just very cohesive and they're absolutely beautiful. I love them. They're shiny. They're very well lacquered as well. So that's that one. And then I got, this is a new brand, and I'm going to try to remember it. It's called Nakamura Sei Sakusho. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. I should know how to say that right. So Nakamura Sei Sakusho, and they have a lot of brushes on Fude Beauty, and I was really not aware of the brand because they're only on Fude Beauty, and I've been ordering mainly from Fude Japan and CD Japan. But I was very intrigued, and I asked Vicky, who has a lot of brushes, about this brush, and she said a lot of great things about it. And I mean, she has probably 10 times more brushes than I do. And this is made of squirrel and synthetic hair. So according to the site, they have a way of making this mix to feel like gray squirrel hair, and it is very soft. I'm usually not a fan of pine squirrel because they tend to be a little stiff and coarse and kind of like sticky, but this doesn't feel like my other pine squirrel brushes. It's very soft. It's an eye brush, but I'm probably going to use it for highlighter and for powdering. So yeah, that's this one, and maybe I can use it for like, yeah, no, way too big for my eyes. And then I got another of the MB series. I got the MB 114, and I've been eyeing this for a long time, and I finally went through and got it. It's their squirrel and horse highlighter brush, and it's got that very unique angle. It's like rounded and angled. And yeah, it's beautiful. It doesn't feel like there's horsehair. I think that's why I didn't order it, because I thought the horsehair would make it too coarse, but it doesn't feel coarse at all. In fact, I have another brush from this line. It's the it's actually the CMP 127. It's made of the same mix, and that hair is very soft. That brush is very soft too. So I'm really excited to try this. I'm probably going to use it for highlighter. I actually did use it for highlighter because I filmed this earlier, but yeah, beautiful brush, and Also, you know, in addition to highlighting, the shape is really nice to powder here. So I usually heavily powder here because of my sunglasses. And yeah, this is like the perfect shape to get this area. So I'll probably use it for that too. And then I got another Takumi series brush, and this is the Takumi T5. And it's their tapered pinch ferrule brush, and I thought this was a round ferrule, so just FYI, if you're looking at this brush, it's a pinched ferrule. It really reminds me of the Sonia G Designer Pro. I think the specs are probably identical. This one is undyed, whereas the Sonia G is dyed. But yeah, it's really soft. This taper is very low. So what I think when I see a brush that tapers this low is that it's good for padding, because you got those, you know, shorter hairs here. You could apply in a padding motion and it already looks blended. At least a lot of my brushes like this are able to do that. And I like that because I try not to, especially with the cheek area, I try not to like swipe or, you know, like buff this area because I don't want it to disturb my foundation. So I think this will be a really good one for like specific blush placement, also under eye powdering. I tend to favor a dark haired brush for powdering so I can like see how much powder I'm using. But also I think this would be a good one for highlighting. It's also very close to the Rephr 5. Actually, it looks very, very similar to that one, but maybe a little softer, a tad bit softer. But yeah. I'm a big fan of the Takumi series. I feel like they put their best artisans on this line because they're always just so perfectly made. And then I got my very first Bisotto short series brush, and I was very excited to get this one because I had not got the short series because I wasn't into short handles. But anyways, I think that's going to change because this brush is absolutely beautiful. I got the finishing brush. I don't want to mess up the name. I think it's the BSFF1. Anyways, it's their largest of this short series, I think. So it's just, you know, it's very similar to the long series. It's just it's short. So the materials are the same. And the hairs in the short series tend to be undyed, whereas the ones from the long series are usually dyed. Not always, but a lot of them are. And yeah, this is probably going to be one that I don't use a whole lot just because it's so beautiful, and I don't use large brushes too often, but I really wanted to try one of these short brushes, and I'm not disappointed. It's perfectly crafted. And yeah, every brush from the Bisotto short or long series are always just they're always crafted like to perfection. I've never had one that was uneven or, you know, had like stray hairs sticking out. They're always just so beautiful. I can tell they use the best hairs with these brushes, and yeah, it's really soft, very dense. I know it's going to fluff up a lot more after I wash it, but yeah, it is a dense brush. It's not like a floppy brush. Some of the finishing brushes you'll find they're big, but they're not very substantial, but this one is. So yeah, I was really excited to try the short series. And this one I was also very, very excited to get because I'm a big fan of Bisotto, and I'm a big fan of this particular brush line. And that is I got the Grand Series GC1. So this is their, I guess like their pinch ferrule cheek brush, and it's gorgeous. It's super soft. Now the Grand Series is priced higher than other brands' Gray Squirrel brushes, but this is my third Grand Series brush, and I understand why the price is where it's at, and it's because they use the best, you know, materials, and I can tell the way these are put together, they're just perfection, and they're very beautiful. Like, this is a type of brush, if you want to treat yourself, like, you don't need this line to get like good results with your makeup, but if you really want to treat yourself and get a luxurious brush, I would say go with these. Maybe like, you know, 3-4 years ago, I would say a Hakuhodo S series might be the way to go. But I feel like Hakuhodo quality is kind of hit or miss now. And so, yeah, these you don't have to worry about getting one that's too thin or the hairs are jagged or anything. They're always just perfectly made. And I believe they're going to make these for a while. The hairs are super soft. I don't see any, you know, like jagged hairs. A lot of companies are now, you know, not taking out those hairs so that they conserve, you know, they conserve the hairs they have. But yeah, I can tell all of these hairs are completely straight. And it's got this ebony wood handle, and the name of the brand and the name of the brush is etched into the handle. So it's very elegant, and it's got like not a super pointy and just kind of slightly pointy. And so yeah, really excited to have this one. And every time I get a Grand Series brush, I just fall more and more in love with them, which is kind of a problem because they are so expensive. But yeah, I don't ever feel like I got a dud. You know, like sometimes you buy a fabulous brush expecting it to be like perfect, and then it's not. But yeah, with this line, you don't have to worry about that. I did want to show it in comparison to the long series, the BC1. And because although the ferrule is, I think, the same width, the BC1 from the long series is much bigger, more hairs. Obviously, this is a dyed goat hair brush, but I just wanted to show you the comparison. I was curious to see it myself. Although I haven't washed this one, I'm sure this one is not going to fluff up the way this one did. I use the BC1 for blush and bronzer, but this one is probably going to be for like under eye powdering or highlighter. So what I see myself using this brush for. And I don't think this doesn't really remind me of anything I can think of on the top of my head. I mean, no, it's not like the airbrush. It's much bigger than the airbrush, but yeah, just so beautiful. And yeah, I'm so glad was able to get another of the Grand Series. All right, so that's going to do it for the haul. I have a little presentation, a Japanese history presentation. So I wanted to share a story that about my own family and their experience during World War II regarding the internment camps that the Japanese were sent to. So after the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor, that was December 6, 1941, Franklin D. Roosevelt signed Order 9066, giving the military the right to put all Japanese and Japanese Americans into like imprisonment camps. And there were incarceration camps. On this number, I've seen a couple of different numbers, but this one sounds right. 110,000 Japanese Americans or Japanese Americans were sent to these camps. And I have a family member, he is my mother's first cousin, so their mothers were sisters. And he was actually born in one of the camps. And his name is Dale. I'll put a picture up of him and his family. I was able to do a very impromptu interview of what he knew about this experience. And so here's the information that I got from him. So in 1942, his parents were sent to they were living in Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley, and they eventually were sent to a incarceration site in Arkansas. So they were given a couple of weeks to gather all of their belongings and put them into 2 suitcases. That was very strict. That's all they were allowed to take. And they had to leave everything behind, including their property and businesses. And most of them lost that. They weren't able to recover that. Sometimes that they were, but oftentimes that was not the case. And Dale's mother was pregnant with him when this happened. So he was born there in 1942. the first, so after they were kind of rounded up, they were sent to the Santa Anita racetrack, which still exists today, and I believe there's still horse races there. And they were left there for a few weeks, and they were forced to stay in like the stables where the horses were. And that's kind of where they kind of gathered the Japanese Americans in California. Some were from Central California up north, Northern California, but a lot of them were from Southern California. And then from there, they were put on trains and sent to their assigned camp. So his camp that he went to was called the Rephr internment camp in Arkansas. And there were 2 built in Arkansas. And for the most part, these camps were built way out in the middle of nowhere, so they couldn't be seen. And the other one in Arkansas was called Jerome. But the Rephr one, I believe, was a little bigger. 8,000 Japanese Americans were interned at this camp that he was born in from 1942 to 1945. And there were a lot of these people were young people and children. 39% were under the age of 19, and 2,483 were school-aged kids at just this camp that he was at. So, you know, I don't want to just reiterate information that is easily available. I kind of wanted to get into like what the experience was like, what the attitude of the American soldiers were towards the Japanese Americans. And it wasn't, some of the soldiers were actually very sympathetic to what they were doing and didn't agree with what they were doing. And he said that because his mother was pregnant on the train, a couple of the American soldiers offered their seat to her. I thought that was interesting. And the director of human services at the Rephr the Rephr internment camp, I keep saying concentration. If I ever say concentration, it's just I have that mind because I hear that word. I don't mean that. I mean internment camp. So if I said that before, I apologize. I mean internment camp. The director was named Joseph Hunter, and he was very well liked by the detainees because he was actually against the incarceration of the Japanese Americans. And you can go online and see a painting of him. But he was the one in charge of the Rephr internment camp. Let's see if I have any more. A notable resident of the Rephr internment camp is George Takei. I believe he's 84, so he probably went there as a very young child from maybe age 2 to 6, I'm guessing, around there. But yeah, he lived there in his very early years. And yeah, that's the main thing that I wanted to present and go over. And a lot of why I'm doing this is to document these stories because oftentimes these things are, you know, lost in time. So yeah, I hope you guys thought that was interesting. I did. I'm glad that I was able to learn more about my family's history, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.